Oh, I don't know what to say.
Oh, I hate this. I don't like doing video stuff. I don't know what else to say.
It's my favorite song at the moment. It's Victorious Right Hand.
Probably be Victorious Right Hand.
All of them. Victory.
Who We Are.
Sinners and Saints has been a long process.
So it says in Sinners and Saints, within your love, we're all the same, we're sinners and saints. And I just love how that kind of embodies our church.
It has probably been 2.5 years worth of my life that I will never get back. I'm just kidding.
Another reason that song is special to me is because I started recording on it when I was 30 weeks pregnant. And so this little guy, so he got to be a part of the album too, didn't ya? Yeah.
I play drums on Author of the Cure.
So I had the awesome opportunity to design the album art.
So one of the things I love about the Sinners and Saints album is it really can speak to anyone. Even though it's a worship album, I think Element Music has a kind of a different take on worship and the music we produce. We don't want all of our music just to be for Christians.
Just through doing a lot of research on ancient Christian symbolism, I came across keys meaning a lot of different things.
My favorite song on this album is Who We Are.
When we revealed the song, kind of played it for the first time, it was for Compassion International when they came to the church, and it definitely spoke to me pretty big.
It reminds me of a verse that Jesus said on Matthew 5, verse 16, when he said that we should be a light for others so that they may see our great works and give glory to God.
So that's why you see a sinner key and a saint key. The sinner key is darker and it's a little more beat up because if we're honest with ourselves, we probably use that key more. But there's also a saint key and it's pristine and perfect and allows us to open the gates to heaven. We're given both of these keys in life and we have a choice every day which one we use. Because God loved us so much, he gave us Jesus to die on the cross as that sacrifice. And through his blood sacrifice, he washes our sinner clean new and makes it saintly so that we can spend eternity with him.
So the other thing that I got to do on the album, which is something that's a really big deal to me, I've always wanted to sing, but I've always been terrified of it. And I had the opportunity on this album, on Heaven and Earth, to sing backup vocals, harmonies with Jared on that one. And that's a huge milestone in my life.
I got to sing Speak Into the Darkness.
My favorite song on the album is Speak Into the Darkness.
Well, the name of the album is Sinners and Saints, and we're all sinners. And a lot of times, I know for me, Satan can come in and really beat us down.
It meant a lot to me because it reminded me of the time I was just down, out, lost, confused before I found Jesus.
I grew up being so afraid just of everything around me, but the word speak into the darkness is literally what God did. Like he spoke into the darkness with such power that it had the ability to raise Lazarus from the dead.
In the movies, you see all these people who are trapped and they're trying to be found and they're being held captive by their captor. And when they're found, the light comes out from the basement door or wherever that might be. And they're wincing and they're looking at the light. And I imagine that's what Lazarus was doing. He wasn't coming out like, hey, what up? He was like, he came out and I imagine he was wincing and his body was weak and he came out and Jesus is saying, Lazarus, and he spoke into the darkness, into that empty tomb and said, Lazarus, come out.
He spoke into the darkness and called me out and raised me to life.
We're held captive by sin so many times in our minds, and we let that take us over.
There's so much noise in the world and there's so much going on, but despite all of that, we as Christians can speak through the dark times and allow Jesus to speak through us.
And we are that child or that person that is being rescued, and Jesus is rolling the stone away and saying, come out.
It's just an awesome reminder that Satan, get out of here, because you don't have power over what Christ has already done.
And that's where I think we are all at some point. We serve a God who death kneels to. Death does not answer to anyone but Jesus. I didn't expect that. Yeah, that's weird. Sinners and Saints is about much more than just being a typical worship concept.
This album is really a reflection of this team's passion for people and leading them to Christ.
In Hebrews, it talks about how we should be growing and we should be teaching others by now, but yet we're still talking about basic things. And I think we've kind of slipped into that in worship sometimes, and it's great the things we sing about, but what about the depth of God?
It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, that you're welcome at this church.
And so I think it's really cool to just get to be a part of something like that, to get people just into church to hear the word in the first place.
And maybe you're going to connect with a song after the third or fourth time because there are so many different things that you're going to hear the next time around and the next time around.
You are part of the family, and this album I just feel like is just so special because it represents our church in that way.
It may not be the first emotional high of that first initial time hearing it, but maybe after the fourth or fifth time or whatever, you find that there's something there that God is speaking to you again.
They need to hear about the good news.
I think this album is just so powerful.
You'll experience these themes of overwhelming grace and forgiveness, and that even in the darkest places, we can find new life and hope in God, all the way to the end where we're singing about having victory in Him.
Check out the album.